next guest is Chris Alyward, and I apologize, Chris, on the slide I spelled it wrong. It's my dyslexia coming in again. Chris Alyward is the National Vice President for the Public Service Alliance of Canada. It is the biggest union in Canada, and they represent, well, he'll tell you how many public servants they represent, but it's, what 160,000?
180.
180. Oh, no wonder they need to cut. Here you go, Chris.
Thank you, Carolyn, and thank you for coming out this evening, and more importantly, thank you for staying this evening. The table is getting shorter. So, my name is Chris Alyward. I'm the National Vice President for the Public Service Alliance of Canada. PSAC represents over 180,000 Canadians who proudly deliver frontline services to Canadians each and every day, from coast to coast, including right here at the St.Andrews Biological Station. I would like to acknowledge those workers who work at the station who are here tonight in the room, and especially the PSAC local president, Jeff Irwin. It is a very difficult time. It is a very difficult time for the members at the station and for the local, and your union is here to support you. I would also like to introduce who's also in the room, Jeannie Baldwin. Jeannie's the PSAC Regional Executive Vice President for the Atlantic Region. Jeannie's up in the back. As well, we have Todd Panis, who is the National Component President of the Union of Environment Workers, which is a component of the PSAC. And the Regional Vice President for the Union of Environment Workers, Robert Alice. I want to thank SOS for organizing this event and recognizing that we are all affected by these cuts. The federal government has clearly demonstrated that the 2012 budget, just like budgets that came before it, is not about jobs and prosperity, as Minister Flaherty would tell you, but more it is about cutting federal jobs and eliminating quality public services that Canadians have come to depend on each and every day. The Department of Fisheries and Oceans has been particularly hard hit. The 2012 budget laid out a $79 million reduction to the department. Between 2011 and 2015, its budget is expected to shrink by a full 25%. During the 2011 federal election, the Conservative government in Ottawa promised Canadians that you wouldn't feel a thing from those planned public service cuts. We beg to differ. Since this year's budget announcement, almost 17,000 federal government workers who are PSAC members have been told that they may lose their jobs. Over 600 PSAC members here in New Brunswick and 6 at the St.Andrews Biological Station. At the station, 4 technicians, 1 clerk, and 1 librarian have already received their affected letters, and we know there's more to come because this government is not going to stop. I have talked to PSAC members from one coast to another, and their story is something like this. They're anxious about what losing their job is going to mean for them and their families. What will it mean for their futures? Will they have to pick up and move, leaving communities that they call home, like right here in St. Andrews? Will they have to change careers or go back to school? Will they be able to make their mortgage payments and make ends meet? The workers I've spoken to are heartbroken, stressed, and deflated. They've been working long and hard to serve Canadians, so they are also worried about what these cuts mean for those who rely on the services that they provide. The biological station speaks volumes about what these cuts actually mean for Canadians. The infrastructure that holds our fragile marine environments intact and supports sustainable fishing industries is being dismantled. First, by stripping the mandate and the capacity of the department, and secondly, by dramatically weakening the Fisheries Act. This hits small towns like St. Andrews hard, where the viability of the local economy is deeply tied to presence of federal jobs and to a strong maritime culture. As a Newfoundlander who was solemnly marking the 20th anniversary of the cod moratorium, as a federal public sector worker and as a union leader, I have had enough of hearing of this government's platitudes about the importance of small communities in Canada. And I bet you are tired of it too. If this government cared about small town Canada, if they cared about St. Andrews, they wouldn't be pulling the rug from under us. If they cared, they wouldn't be cutting jobs and programs that they depend on, that we depend on, and they wouldn't be centralizing the services of this library to an urban center. In the face of these cuts, it is time for unions, community leaders, town councils, chambers of commerce, provincial governments, environmental groups, scientists, and concerned citizens to come together and tell our side of the story, just as we are doing here today. That's why this summer the Public Service Alliance of Canada is asking everyday Canadians, from scientists to fish harvesters to small business owners, to tell us how they are affected by these cuts. We need to expose the reality behind these cuts. If the government refuses to come clean about the impact of its job-cutting policies, then it's up to us to tell the stories. The Parliamentary Budget Officer himself has come out and publicly criticized this government for acting under a shroud of secretness when it comes to these cuts and what these cuts really mean. Canadians deserve to hear the truth, and it's time for us to stand up, and this is the only way we can do it, is that we know the truth behind these cuts and what these cuts really mean to small towns like communities, like St. Andrews, because that's the only way we can stand up for St. Andrews and communities like St. Andrews across this country. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.